All right, good morning, everybody. I am going to call the meeting to order. My name is Councillor Paul Ainsley. I'm the chair of the General Government Committee. We have quorum, so I'll now be calling meeting number 20 to order. Welcome, everybody. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and in person at City Hall here in committee room number 1. The meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. For the land acknowledgement, I would like to say on behalf of myself, my colleagues, and our staff, although we're maybe meeting in different locations today, the General Government Committee would like to acknowledge the land we are meeting on as the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also would like to acknowledge Toronto is covered by Treaty Number 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. If you're registered to speak at today's meeting and there are no speakers, so I'm going to skip that part. Members, the City Clerk has provided all of our agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on the Clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need any help with your electronic devices. Reminder to please submit any motions if you have them to the clerks by email. Staff are available at ggc@toronto.ca to help with any motions. At this point, I'm going to ask if there's any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, can I have a motion to confirm the last minutes of our meeting of February 25th, 2025? Moved by Councillor Burnside. All in favor? That carries. I'm now going to run through the agenda. Our first item is GG 20.1, amendment to blanket contract number 470-23934 with Standard Mechanical Systems Limited for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning preventative maintenance services at various City of Toronto Children's Services locations. Any holds? Moved by Councillor Holyday. All in favor? That carries. Our second item is GG 20.2, amendment to purchase order number 604-7783 with Hatch Corporation and purchase order number 605-3327 with W.S. Nicholls Construction Incorporated for the rehabilitation and upgrades at 4 water pumping stations in wards 2, 8, 20, and 21. Moved by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? That carries. Our next item, number 3, GG 20.3, amendment to purchase order number 605-2017 with WSP Canada Incorporated for the replacement of sanitary Forcemains in various Toronto locations, Group 2. Any holds? Moved by Councillor Holyday. All in favor? That carries. And thank you, Lou. I learned more about sanitary Forcemains in that report than I ever thought I would. Number 4, GG 20.4, amendment to purchase order number 605-2669, EBC Bessac Canada, FSPSTT, joint venture for the construction of the Fairbank Silverthorn storm trunk tunnel and micro tunneled storm collectors for basement protection program study area 3, wards 5, 8, 9, and 12.
I'd like to hold this one, please, Chair.
Councillor Chang is holding number 4. All right, our next item, GG 20.5, award of document 455-6210399 to multiple suppliers for fire and life safety inspection, test, and maintenance for fire alarm, sprinkler, standpipes, special suppression, fire extinguisher, and fire hydrants for various city divisions. Bless you. Any holds? Moved by Councillor Burnside. All in favor? That carries. Number 6 has an additional report with a recommendation that came Friday afternoon. So it's GG 20.6, non-competitive procurement contracts with Mr. Safety Shoes Incorporated, operating as Mr. Safety Shoes, and Kodiak Group Holdings operating as work authority for the non-exclusive supply and fitting of various new safety footwear and related items for various City of Toronto divisions. Councillor Holloway is holding number 6. Number 7, GG 20.7, non-competitive contract with the Rowland Emergency Vehicles Products Incorporated for the provision of Stryker powered stretchers with all components, accessories, and repairs. Moved by Councillor Cheng. All in favor? That carries. Number 8, GG 20.8, non-competitive contracts with SAP Canada Incorporated for the proprietary system software licenses, cloud subscriptions, related services. Any holds? Can I have a mover? Councillor Holloway, all in favor? That carries. GG 20.9, non-competitive contract with Salesforce.com Canada Corporation for proprietary Tableau software licenses, training, maintenance, and support services. And this comes with a confidential attachment. Any holds? Can I have a mover? Councillor Thompson, all in favor? That carries. GG 20.10, review of the bid award panel.
Hold, please.
Councillor Cheng is holding number 10. Sorry, scrolling. Number 11, GG 20.11, amendments to the Toronto Municipal Code, Chapter 217, Records, Corporate City. Moved by Councillor Holloway. All in favor? That carries. GG 20.12, litigation arising from the rehabilitation of Section 1 of the FG Gardiner Expressway, Jarvis Street to Cherry Street. I'm going to hold that for a moment in my name. GG 20.13, City of Toronto's fleet availability and utilization rates. Any holds? Moved by Councillor Burnside. All in favor? That carries. And then I have an additional one. So we have one additional item of business, GG 20.14, establishing the City of Toronto's Mayor's Awards for Artificial Intelligence Innovation within city divisions, agencies, and boards. I'm going to move a motion to introduce that. All in favor? And then I'll hold it for people to have a look at. Okay. So we're going to go back to our first item, which is GG 20.4. Sorry, I got to get back to it. Amendment to purchase order number 6052669, EBC Bessac Canada joint venture for the construction of the Fairbank Silverthorn storm trunk tunnel and micro-tunneled storm collectors for basement flooding protection program study area 3, held by Councillor Cheng. Councillor Cheng, questions of staff?
Thank you. Through the chair, this is a $6 million settlement, and I wonder if you can just summarize the reason that we have this settlement.
Yes, to the chair, there are 3 items that we have settled with the contractor. Those were related to utility relocation, delayed utility relocation. There was some additional requirements from Metrolinx regarding the crossing of their railway, and there was a change to methodology to construct adits that were within residential streets. And I would just comment that the settlement is for just under $3 million. The $6 million provides for an additional contingency allowance for the balance of this contract.
I see. And the delayed relocations, is that something that is commonly encountered across our city? Because it seems to me we would definitely have to, anytime we're digging, we'd have to do this. And so do these delays regularly impact our work?
To the chair, I would say no, it is not a regular occurrence. Typically, we would try, and we work closely with the utility companies to ensure that relocations are done in advance, as is noted in the report. Enbridge completed their work. However, we had some delays from, in particular, Toronto Hydro in this case, but no, it is not a regular occurrence.
And with regard to constraints imposed by Metrolinx, since Metrolinx is digging across our city and will continue to in the years to come, is this something that we would then fold into future contracts, that these access constraints are something, can they be predicted or negotiated in advance?
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, each case, each contract with Metrolinx, we do negotiate and come to an agreement on terms and conditions for any crossing. In this particular case, there was an existing or a new contract by Metrolinx that happened to be adjacent to our work area, so there were some additional constraints that were put forward by Metrolinx. But yes, in each case, we will negotiate terms.
So in this case, it was unforeseen, the constraints, because the access constraints were imposed after this contract was negotiated?
That's correct. We had negotiated with them for the crossing, but as I said, as the construction advanced, there were some additional discussions with Metrolinx, and they imposed some additional requirements. In the end, we were successful in crossing, and there were no impacts to the railway.
Great, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Chang. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none speakers on this item, Councillor Chang, you have the item?
Yeah, I'm happy to move staff recommendations.
Okay, Councillor Chang is moving staff recommendations on number 4. All in favor? That carries. Our next item is number 6, GG 20.6, non-competitive procurement contracts with Mr. Safety Shoes Incorporated, operating as Mr. Safety Shoes, and Kodiak Group Holdings, operating as work authority for the non-exclusive supply and fittings of various new safety footwear and related items for various City of Toronto divisions, held by Councillor Holyday. Councillor Holyday, questions of staff?
Thank you, Chair. If I may set out, if I delve into any areas that belong in camera, please feel free to stop me, Mr. Chair.
I will.
I have no desire to go into camera, but I did have a couple of questions.
Fire away.
So to staff, my understanding is that a procurement was undertaken and it wasn't successful. It didn't complete. So what's before us is the extension of existing contracts to allow a bit more time to, I guess, do a go around. Do I understand that correctly?
To the chair. So partially, these are net new contracts that are being completed. You are correct, we did go to market. We were unsuccessful in obtaining compliant bidders just due to the intricate nature of the specifications. So based in the bylaw, we do have an option to create contracts when we've gone to competition and not been successful. So this is what we are operating with.
So is there an attempt contemplated then to go back to market at some point in time?
Absolutely. Again, due to the complex nature of the specifications, we do need the time. This procurement, in fact, took almost 2 years to complete just due to the analysis of the footwear. We are trying to reimagine what this could look like for the future, which is why, again, we need the time to properly assess, as there are a lot of implications with different unions.
So I'll go specific, then I'll go more general in a moment, but could you tell us a little bit about what went wrong? And the reason I say that is I think these are the existing suppliers, if I've got it right. There were only 2 bids, and neither bid was successful in reaching the final point. So does that mean that you're going to change all of the thinking so that there's a larger number of bidders, or is it a changing of what's being asked of the marketplace?
That's a very good question, since we're not too sure how it's going to be changed. But that's what we want to look at on how we are thinking about going to market, as well as the specifications. Again, there is a lot of different rules and, again, union requirements that we have to account for when we're going out to market for these. And in this situation, again, the complexity just caused it to have a limited market, and as well as 2 unsuccessful proponents that have provided this footwear in the past.
So what was non-compliant, or just a general sense of what wasn't compliant?
So it would have been the actual footwear that was provided. So in certain cases, it was as if, for instance, color of the footwear would be one area, options for multiple genders, and options that came from that. So in one item, we required multiple options for female footwear. That wasn't available from one particular, one or the other particular supplier.
So can I, now more generally, just understanding the circumstances, is this footwear for employees, and are employees required to go, and if they need footwear, they go to this particular place or vendor, or is there a store that they get it from, or stores, like a warehouse? Like how does footwear work?
A couple different ways. Again, there's places where we kind of go on site, and other places you do go to the footwear location. There are approximately 18 divisions that participate off this contract, so there are a lot of variables.
So is this the way that it works in other municipalities and government organizations, that there's a central source, or are there other models where people are given sort of a set of parameters and they go out and buy it themselves and submit the cost for it?
There are definitely other models that, exactly to your point, where individuals are given a stipend and they go out and get their own footwear. But there are considerations behind that we have to account for, of, again, who is doing the compliancy verification, the roles and responsibilities behind that once we implement it.
Chair, I might need a bit more time. I just want to ask here, just generally speaking, how many pairs of footwear are purchased? Who's buying them? Why? I understand, there's differences in roles, right? So I see some of the divisions listed here are very office-type divisions, and other divisions are very operational in nature. So could you just tell me just generally about footwear and who uses it and why?
So the footwear will vary from park staff, store staff in our own warehouses, as well as fire, paramedics. So you are correct. They do range in what's required from the operational capacity of the footwear. As for numbers, I don't have the exact number of footwear. I can tell you the spend. I'd have to just take a quick look back at my records for the exact number.
Or even a rough price for I'm assuming averages here, but I can figure out how many millions of dollars divided by how many pairs of shoes or boots.
So I believe, hang on a second, hold please. Sorry, I don't want to give you a wrong answer, so if you could just give me a couple minutes, I can look into it, or a couple seconds.
We could follow up later. I've used all my time, Mr. Chair, and Madam Chief Procurement Officer. But I think that's all my questions, really. We can take it offline. I just want a general sense of how many pairs.
I can absolutely get that for you.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Holiday. Other questions of staff on this item? I was laugh. I just said to David, my father always taught me, if you're going to hurt your toes, you wear steel-toed boots. Okay. Councillor Holiday's speech, move the recs. Oh, there is an amendment and supplementary report.
Chair, I'll move the amendment and move the final item.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just speak briefly. I mean, I think this is an interesting situation. I don't know that we're going to see and solve all the answers, but I learned a little bit about the complexities of footwear just based on the report and the questions. But I am concerned, right, that the two bids that came in weren't able to be completed. So this is probably an area where there's more work that needs to be done, and it sounds very complicated, but I will support the recommendations before us to get us through the next few months.
Thank you, Councillor Holiday. Other speakers on this item? All in favor of the recommendations, supplementary report with the recommendations? Carried. Sorry, item is amended. All in favor, and that carries. And our next item is number 10. I'm just going to find it. GG 20.10, review of the bid award panel held by Councillor Chang. Councillor Chang, questions of staff?
Thank you. I would like to request a summary of this change away from bid panel that we are proposing with this report. So what will this be called? What kind of contracts? What division will this fall under?
Okay. To the chair, this will be for all divisions within the City of Toronto, and these are very specifically only for open competitive contracts. So this does not affect non-competitives or purchase order amendments.
And is the amount that will fall under this category being suggested to be increased to 30 million?
Correct. If I heard that correctly, sorry, there was a bit of noise.
Yes, you're increasing the delegated authority up to $30 million. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what are the opportunities for these contracts then to have some kind of line of sight to council if this delegated authority is granted?
Mm-hmm. To the chair, there's a number of transparency aspects that we have considered. So I'm just going to go through them very briefly. So first of all, we do post openly and publicly already all our bids on our TO bids portal as well as Ariba Discovery. The awards are then posted back on TO bids at time of award. The information is also available through the open data portal. At some point in time when they do their regular updates. We are also looking into options for further transparency and to ensure that councillors are, again, made aware of the decisions we have made. Certain options include potentially reporting back to GGC as well as updating our portal to have additional information in TO bids available. And or, again, we're still exploring this, which is why it's not in the report, but exploring options for something maybe a bit more like you currently experience with TMMIS, but we haven't figured that technology yet.
And will we land on some kind of reporting by council? Is that possible? Is that because I feel that that needs to be in place before the delegated authority is granted.
Mm-hmm. So we are looking at reporting back on a monthly basis to GGC, which naturally would then be sent to Council for information.
Right. And lastly, this is a tremendous amount of data that is being created because can you remind me how many of these contracts might be granted in a given month?
Yep. We look anywhere between 15 to 20 to 30 contracts a month on average.
And the dollar value per month on average, is there a ballpark?
Hang on. We're just doing the math here behind this. Why can't I find it? We can get you to the per month approximation.
Sure. And so in consideration of all this data that is being created, that is an open data portal and shared, do you think there's opportunities for AI to be incorporated to analyze this data to look for trends or efficiencies or red flags in the contracts that we're awarding?
Absolutely, there's always opportunity for improvements, and would love to be able to use AI as a tool. We can definitely involve TSD as part of their AI exploration to see how that can be furthered.
Great. So, Chair, I have a motion that's being baked right now. And so I'm just, unless there's other questions, I'd like to hold it down while I know the motion needs some work still.
Thank you, Councillor Chang. Councillor Holiday, questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make sure I understood this, so that this is the change on the bid award panel, and it's being taken away by the report. But my understanding is the context is different. Since the bid award panel was created a long time ago, do I understand correctly that we have a procurement department, right? Like the capacity has changed, is that right?
Through the chair, that is correct. At its initiation, it was, we didn't have a procurement office, we didn't have a chief procurement officer. Again, there was a bit of unknowns, and we were still even doing bid openings in public with envelopes.
Oh, I see. So they would physically open the envelope at the panel.
That is correct.
And we don't do those things as much anymore, I guess.
We do not. All our bids are done electronically.
Okay. And so there was no chief procurement officer. So the bid award panel served some of those functions.
That is correct. They provided the due diligence that we now provide.
I just wanted to go back to make sure I understand correctly as well. There's different stages in a procurement. And the first stage is the upfront one, when part of the city says, I want to go out and buy something. I have to go out and buy something. I've got the budget. And what's that stage called?
That is the procurement planning stage.
And so then it progresses to the stage that somebody says, let's put this out on the market. And what's that stage called?
That is again, that's associated with the procurement plan. Then you get into your solicitation development and issuance of solicitation.
But that stage is important, because when you put something on the market, that then has implications.
Absolutely. It is, depending on the format that we're using, it is creating a commitment.
And then the bids come back and somebody chooses a bid, and that's kind of what this report is focused on.
That is correct. It is just the final award.
And then after that, there's another authority, though, to actually sign the contract?
That is correct. So again, we're only responsible for the award process. The signing is held by technically a different bylaw, and is then assigned to the division head, and also for anything over $500,000, I believe it is clerks that has a signing signature, as well as there's a responsibility from legal services.
So if I think of the procurement process, as it goes on through time and through the different stages, it becomes far more defined towards the end. In other words, you put bids out, but there's only going to be a very narrow set of reasons that you wouldn't choose one, and an even narrower set of reasons where you wouldn't sign a contract. Is that sort of a fair assessment? Absolutely
correct. There are very limited circumstances for cancellation or non-award.
So we often get reports to this committee that says, please approve X, Y, Z, but that's one of the late stages.
Correct. Yes, that is the final stages.
Okay, so the hard question is given the widest amount of risk and the widest amount of variability is at the front of the process,
Correct.
and if things aren't right there, then things can get off track. Can you tell the committee a little bit about the controls that are in place to ensure that there's authority to spend and that the procurement process is going as it should?
So a couple different things. So yes, there is a commitment authority that we do require before we actually go out to market to ensure that there are funds in place. Specifications are drafted in coordination with the requiring division. And there's a lot of back and forth between PMMD and the division. Again, we're there to provide guidance on the proper nature of how we're going out to market, recommend how we're going for bids, and the specifications, how they're not specifically drafted, but how they're represented to ensure that they are not too stringent, that they are compliant with our bylaw as well as trade agreement. So we do all those checks and balances as part of the requirements building and the solicitation planning. There is a procurement plan that we also get on an annual basis, and that's when we start looking for opportunities for aggregate savings and/or opportunities for involvement from Indigenous procurements, for the use of diverse suppliers, and environmental sustainability aspects.
So last question is a quick one. The weight or the bulk of the authority really sits within the client areas or the program areas of the city. In other words, all the critical decisions are made up front, and as the process drags on or executes, those risks are narrower and narrower and narrower. And so if I have concerns about a procurement or I want to ask about a procurement, if I think that if I have any questions, I mean, it's really at the upfront stages when there's the most variability.
That is correct. That is the most optimal time to do changes and to allow for questioning of the decisions that are being made.
And that all rests with the program areas, not the chief procurement officer.
Correct.
Or the CFO.
Yeah.
It's the program itself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holladay. Other questions of staff on this item? Seeing none, Councillor Chang, did you want to speak first, or I do have a motion that I wanted to move? Sorry? Okay.
I also have a motion.
Sorry?
I also have a motion.
Okay. Yep, I'll go ahead. Okay. All right, so if I can buy. Well, is Councillor Chang's ready? Yes, it is. Okay, so Councillor Chang, go ahead.
Great. This is just about incorporating the AI innovation in the procurement process and asking this to be explored. That's my motion, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chang. I'm going to move my motions. So I'm going to move the General Government Committee amend recommendation number 1 by replacing July 1st with October 1st. So the recommendation now reads as follows: City Council amend Municipal Code Chapter 195, Procurement, Municipal Code Chapter 71, Financial Control, and the procurement policy is set out in this report, effective October 21st, 2025. And then my next one. Do I have to read the whole thing? Yes. City Council requests the Chief Procurement Officer to develop measures that will ensure continued transparency in the procurement process in the absence of the bid award panel, and to report on such measures at the July 14th, 2025 meeting of the General Government Committee, and requests the Chief Procurement Officer to submit a report to for information to every regular General Government Committee meeting following the elimination of the bid award panel on all open competitive awards made by the Chief Procurement Officer during the previous cycle, valued between $500,000 and $30 million. So I'm moving this. We are moving forward, or there's been a review of the bid award panel. I have heard from a number of our colleagues about concerns around transparency and openness through the bid award. So I'm moving this. That seems to have alleviated most of our colleagues' concerns. Any questions of me? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendments? Sorry, we have to. Yes. First motion to amend, all in favor? That's the date, all in favor, that carries. My second amendment. Sorry, Councillor Cheng's next. All right, Councillor Cheng's motion, all in favor? That carries. And then my second amendment, all in favor? That carries. Item is amended, all in favor? That carries. All right, our next item. Our next item is GG 20.12, litigation arising from the rehabilitation of Section 1 of the FG Gardiner Expressway, Jarvis Street to Cherry Street. I have a quick amendment. I don't know if anybody has any questions of staff on this item. Seeing none, I'm going to put my motion on the screen. The General Government Committee recommend the City Council direct the Chief Procurement Officer in consultation with the Chief Engineer and Executive Director of Engineering Construction Services to report directly to the April 23rd, 24th, 25th, 2025 meeting of City Council with a recommendation as to whether WSP Canada should be suspended from being eligible to bid on or be awarded any City of Toronto contracts as a supplier of goods and services or a subcontractor to a supplier, and if so, for how long? Any other speakers on this item? All in favor of my motion? That carries. Item is amended. All in favor? That carries. My memory serves me correct. We don't have any bylaws? Oh, sorry, my final item. Sorry, my apologies. GG 20.14. Any questions? Councillor Cheng?
Thank you. I really appreciate this motion and just appreciate that cities around the world are increasingly incorporating AI in different ways to bring efficiency and agility to operations. So I'm just wondering, do we have an AI implementation policy and plan as a city, or are we currently just leaving it up to divisions to analyze available tools as they see fit?
To the chair. So thank you for the question. We are in the midst of developing guidelines, one that will inform how to use readily available Gen AI tools. So we're working through that, and actually it's quite imminent in the next few weeks that we'll be publishing something. We've also put in place a framework that will assess new AI tools that come through to the city for opportunities. So that's also, we've got a version 1 of that. And then eventually it evolve into more of a policy. I think our approach has been, let's work through some use cases so the policy really supports practically what we're trying to deliver. But it is all in the works. And in fact, just last week we kicked off our cross-city enterprise data and AI exec leadership team discussion.
And so without the policy, there will be a framework. It sounds like that is coming. When will these pieces be reported to council so that we also can see where we've landed, even though it is still in process?
To the chair, we haven't landed on a time frame, so I can come back to you on what would make sense. We do want to see through the version 1 and just make sure all the division heads, and we've had a chance to kick the tires on it and prove out some pilots, but I can come back to you with a timeline.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm trying to understand, these awards and how they intersect with our policy, because these awards are, I think, aimed at encouraging an environment where we are adopting this technology. So I'm not sure if we can easily give out awards for things that we're not able to implement without clear guidelines and framework. So just wondering how the two intersect.
To the chair, I think what we could do is, because we are testing AI solutions, we do have active pilots. That could be somewhere where we could start in terms of awarding the innovation and ideas that are coming through.
Great, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Chang. Other questions of staff? Seeing none. Speakers?
I'll speak.
Councillor Chang?
Yeah, thank you. So, as some of you may know, I recently was with a delegation visiting Taiwan and saw firsthand how a city can seed the development of AI, and how they've approached it is they actually create procurement opportunities where startups are invited to solve city problems, and then those startups are supported to develop into companies that can then sell those solutions to other countries. And so seeing the way that they've been able to improve, especially, an area of concern in our city is traffic and road safety. And they have successfully implemented tools that can facilitate better road design and increase more agile signal systems and reduce accidents. So they have data where they've reduced accidents at intersections using AI analysis tools. And so I think we're moving in that direction. And, as a city, I think we tend to lean on the side of risk aversion. But in this area, I think there is a necessity to allow for some spaces for piloting, experimenting, and not just internally as a city, but I hope, that we also look into seeding companies outside of our city organization, because we are also trying through economic development to be a city with an AI economy. And so to do that, I think there's different roles that we can play in growing this technology and hopefully being a leader in the world and not just reacting to the new technology. So I think that these awards are a great signal that this is something that we're embracing, because we know that there's great tools available that can bring efficiency and agility to our city. So thank you for this motion, Chair, and I look forward to seeing how we improve our city with these tools.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Chang. Other speakers on this item? Seeing none. So I just want to thank the committee for the consideration of this. I hope I can have everybody's support as we're moving forward with AI. The City of Toronto's moving forward with AI. The City of Toronto's done a lot of work around open data. I was just most recently at the city's Open Data Awards, where we had both external and internal award winners that really did a lot of work around open data. I'm hoping that as we move forward with artificial intelligence, we'll see that same level of enthusiasm and moving this forward, and also recognizing the creativity of our City of Toronto staff across the city, and also our agencies, boards, and commissions. Thank you. All in favor of the item? That carries. I believe that was our last item, Matthew. No bylaws is my recollection. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Holyday, all in favor? That carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day.